I didn't exactly set out to become an expert on the home appraisal process.
Today, state leaders held a hearing on the topic of racially biased home appraisals.
Black and Latino families who say appraisals on their homes are low and that race is likely a factor.
They believe they were hit with a lower home value because of the color of their skin.
That's how one couple describes their experience when getting an appraisal on their home.
And they say that it was undervalued simply because they are Black.
As a reporter covering race and social justice, I didn't exactly set out to become an expert on the home appraisal process. When you even say the word appraisal, most people just kind of look at you with a blank stare. But really, for the last 2 years, that's pretty much been my life, telling the stories of Black and brown families who believe they've had their homes valued for less. They've had their homes devalued, they've been lowballed, and they believe the color of their skin is the big reason why.
We had a conversation with one of our white friends, and she was like, no problem, I'll be Tanisha.
So it appraised for 1.482.
Almost 1.5, $500,000 more.
And like, how does that happen?
So the property was never the question. It was who was occupying the property at the time of the appraisal that was the question.
The only thing bringing down the value of my home was me.
It's one of those stories that you start digging into, and all of a sudden it just balloons and becomes bigger and bigger.
Countless families have reached out to our race and social justice reporter,
Julian Glover, with stories of racially biased appraisals.
Well, I was initially shocked, and I thought I was seeing something different than what I was seeing.
It doesn't feel good. So to have somebody come and stand in, and then we get all of a sudden a higher value.
How could the other appraisal be so off? And we're not off. She's off. How can she be so off?
It confused the loan agent.
So that was really the red flag.
You never think that somehow you would be the victim of discrimination.
We now aren't able to pass on to our 19-month-old and to our unborn child, and not because the house wasn't worth that, but because we're Black.
And throughout that process, over the last couple of years, two things have really become crystal clear. The first is it's really important that we all understand the home appraisal process. As we know here in America, owning your own home is truly the pathway to the American dream. But if your home isn't being valued properly, you're essentially being cheated out of that dream. The second thing is that the home appraisal process appears to be broken, or at least broken for Black and brown families.
Home owned to this day by a Black American family is usually appraised at a low rate for a similar home owned by a white family.
I think what we're seeing out of this is that the problem is extremely widespread. The bias and discrimination is so baked into our housing process.
The house is the house. Why would you go through such ridiculous lengths to belittle Black people and devalue them?
The system itself is so broken.
Your home is valued for $25,000 less than 2 doors down from you.
Correct.
How does that happen to the HUD secretary?
Because I live in a Black neighborhood.
If you think Black people are being discriminated when their property is being appraised, would you kindly raise your hand? One person on the panel.
It's extremely frustrating because you just find it so hard to make a breakthrough.
That's not what you call regulation. That's not what you call oversight. That's not, of course, what you call fairness.
This isn't just adults trying to get an appraisal, but there's an impact on a whole family.
I'm ready to fight whatever it takes to fight. This cannot continue. Cannot.